Hey everyone, it is Hunter Fireflower, and in this video I will be doing a summary and review of the new Star Wars comic book series, Star Wars: The Rise of Kylo Ren. There are 4 comics in the series, and this one that I'm about to discuss was published in December 2019. The comic takes place during the scene in The Last Jedi of Luke's Jedi Temple burning to the ground. This comic gives the reader the full story of that scene along with some backstory and Ben Solo's fall to the dark side. There are a few flashbacks in the series that go back when Ben was young and training with Luke. Also, the Knights of Ren, Snoke, and a few other Jedi that Luke was training are also in this comic. There will be spoilers in the rest of this video, so you have been warned. The story starts in this icy world of this man named Ren who wears this black mask and he has no shirt on and he has these black pants. Ren is talking to these 2 young men who are hiding named Karis and Phelan. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. Ren tells them that his real name actually isn't Ren, and then he goes on how he heard about how these 2 young men killed 100 people and the guards of Sexek are after them to bring them to justice. However, Ren and the Knights of Ren came in just in time to save them from the guards. Ren also heard that Karis is able to touch the shadow, which basically means he's force sensitive. Ren then uses the force to hover his own lightsaber and asks to see if Karis can do the same. Karis is able to, and he makes these little ice fragments hover, and then Karis and Phelan ask if they can follow Ren. And what seems to be in fear. They're scared that they're going to be killed eventually because they know that they're wanted men. Ren then pulls out his lightsaber and says that you should not follow him, but you should follow the Ren. He then goes on to describe that the Ren does not stop to worry about what it's destroying, or how it is wrong in doing so, or what it might achieve in destroying. The Ren just consumes and does what it wishes. I found this to be a little confusing. I'm guessing that it's some type of philosophy that the Knights live by. It's not really described very well, and it doesn't really flow for me, I'll be honest. Ren says to Karis that he's able to join them as long as he can give him a good death. Phelan, his brother who's not force sensitive, without hesitation pulls out his blaster and shoots Karis and kills him dead on the spot. Ren's impressed with Phelan, but in the end kills him with his lightsaber since he's not force sensitive and can't join the Knights. The Knights then leave the scene, and Ren says that their master will eventually find someone to join them. The next part of the comic fast forwards to Ben Solo at the burning of the Jedi Temple of Luke Skywalker. Hennix, Vo, and Ty, 3 of Luke's Jedi apprentices, are landing their ship and witness the entire temple burning. Ty, a human male, senses that no one is alive at the temple except for Ben Solo. The 3 then confront Ben, and Ben tells them that Luke attacked him while he was asleep and that he killed Luke to defend himself. Vo, a human female, then tells Ben that Luke would never have attacked them, and she was about to say that he would never have been able to beat Luke, but Ben cut her off mid-sentence and claims that he was the prize student and that he was stronger than Luke. Ty tries to defuse the situation and have them talk it over, but Ben refuses and is about to leave. Then Vo and Hennix draw their lightsabers. Vo is the first to attack, and Ben force pushes her away. Before all 3 of them attack at once, Ben uses the force to push a bunch of flaming debris at them and wounds Hennix greatly. Ben takes the time to escape to his ship Grimtash with his droid GG. The 3 students go back to their ship to help Hennix, but Vo turns on the ship and begins to chase after Ben to bring him to justice. Ty convinces Vo that she shouldn't kill Ben and that he actually really needs their help. They catch up to Ben and they're about to engage in combat with him, but Ben turns his ship 180 around and destroys their main engines instead of actually killing them. He could have killed them if he wanted to, but he decided not to. Floating in space, the 3 Jedi then come up with a plan to fix the engine and then use Gigi to track Ben down. As Ben escapes, Gigi asks if he wishes to return home, and Ben then begins to think of his mother, Leia, when suddenly he hears Snoke's voice saying that the confrontation between Luke and him was bound to happen, and that Luke feared that he was gaining too much power and growing too strong. There's a flashback between when Luke was actually attacking Ben, and Ben pulled down the entire building. It's literally recreating the scene that we see in The Last Jedi. However, one thing that is different is that Ben emerges from all the rubble, and he begins yelling at the Jedi Temple, asking, "Why did you do it?" Then suddenly there's a bolt of lightning that shoots down from the sky, and it starts the fire that destroys the temple. It's not really clear where the lightning came from. I'm guessing that Ben summoned a force storm or something to destroy the temple, but it's not really quite clear. And after the temple starts burning, Ben feels this sense of regret, and he wishes that it didn't have to end this way. Snoke then reassures Ben that Luke is to blame for all of this and that he is the true one that started the confrontation. The flashbacks end, and then we see Ben going to go fly to meet Snoke. Snoke lives in this strange space station that's floating, and it's filled with a jungle plants. He looks like a gardener. It's kind of funny. But anyways, Ben and Snoke meet, they hug each other, which basically tells us that they've known each other for a very long time, or they're very friendly. They begin to talk about what happens, and Snoke takes on the role of a guiding father figure for Ben. And Ben remarks about how Snoke's face had become deformed, and Snoke just says, "Oh, it's because, Luke Skywalker, but enough about me, let's talk about you." Ben then goes on to say that, "Oh, I killed Luke, I ended it," but Snoke tells him that Luke's still alive, and Ben needs to figure out what he wants to do now instead of trying to listen to what Luke wants to do. Ben then says that he's thinking about the Knights of Ren, and then the comic ends with that. Now for the critiques. Overall, I enjoyed this comic a lot. I feel like it fleshes out the movies a lot more, but there are a few things that I found confusing or I thought could have been better. First off, there are a few panels where characters just look a little funky. It's kind of hard to explain. They just don't quite look right, and I'm not sure if it's the art style or what, so leave a comment if you guys feel the same way. Also, some of the writing was a little confusing. The Ren part, for me, I had to reread it like 2 times to understand what was going on. It was just very confusing. It might just be because it's a philosophy thing. I don't know. There are other parts where it just seems like it might be lazy writing as well, where they're just quick little sentences. It might be because I don't read a lot of comics. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge comic book fan. I don't read a lot, but if I do read comics, they're Star Wars related. So maybe like the little quick quirks that just feel a little strange to me just might be like an artistic style that's common in comics. Lastly, this isn't really a critique, but every time I read Snoke's lines, I think it with Palpatine's voice. And to me, it makes me really upset that they killed Snoke in The Last Jedi. I feel like that was not meant to happen. I feel like he was supposed to be killed in The Rise of Skywalker. But to me, it really makes me upset that they were setting up this cool character. They have a cool background, but then they just make him Emperor Palpatine. It's just lazy writing, and I can't really bash the comic for that because it's what happened in the movies. But it just makes me upset that they failed to make a unique character and instead had to go back to Palpatine. Now I'll give my finishing comments. I did enjoy this comic and would recommend people to read this series who are interested in Kylo Ren and want to see more of a backstory of his character, as well as the relationship with him, Luke, and Snoke. It's very well described in this comic. Not so much in one, but the second one there is. I did like how they introduced Ben with the one scene in The Last Jedi with the Jedi Temple burning. It makes me understand the timeline better, and it makes me connect to the movie more to say, oh, this is actually what happened before and after that scene, so it kind of fleshes out his character a little bit more. The whole thing with Ren is a little confusing. It's probably just because I've only read the first 2 comics, so he's not really well described of his background character at all in the first 2, and it kind of makes me apprehensive because there's only 4 comics in this series, and there's 2 more, and we still need to see Ben Solo turn into Kylo Ren, but we don't know who Ren is in his whole backstory, so I feel like 4 comics to flesh out like all the characters isn't really enough. I mean, maybe they'll give Ren his own comic book series. I kind of doubt that, but I feel like they should have been pushing for more of like 6 to 8 comics. I mean, I'm not sure, like, do they call these pilot seasons or like pilot comics? I'm not quite sure what the correct terminology is, but I feel like 4 is way too little in terms of content. So I'm hoping they'll branch out and have the same story in different comics. I mean, we don't really know Snoke's whole backstory. I'm not sure if they'll put that in a comic as well. It might be one of the books. I haven't really read that much about him, to be quite honest. But I'm feeling a little apprehensive regarding Ren and who the hell he is, because you introduced this character who's masked and you don't know who he is, and then he's only in 4 comics and this is the only comics that he's in. Like, I feel like it's a little... They should have added a little bit more for him. But I'm sure they will. Maybe he'll be in a movie. Who knows? But anyways, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. I make videos regarding Star Wars books and comics. It's a new thing I'm doing. I would like to know what you guys think so far of The Rise of Kylo Ren, so leave a comment below of what you think of the comic. I'm not sure if you're reading it, so just tell me what you guys think. Anyway, stay frosty, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.